What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Brother MT, and we're here with another Metric Mate Minute podcast. On the Metric Mate Minute podcast, we cover leaders from all over the world, telling you about how they do what they do, why they do what they do, and how staying fit keeps them in their best mindset. Let's go. What's going on, everybody, man? We're back with another Metric Mate Minute, and as you know, we try to come with some of the best interviews from the leaders in the community, talking about what they do, how they're adapting, and how they make sure they keep a sound mind and body to keep everything moving forward. And today is no different. We got my man Ray Shackelford here. He's doing amazing things out there in Texas, being a true leader, true motivator, and a guy that is leading the charge into a better future. So Ray, man, appreciate you for joining us, brother. And as always, tell the community a little bit about yourself, what you got going on and what you're doing.
Strick, man, it's good to see you, man. Good to reconnect. Always good to not only get back with my Morehouse brothers, my fraternity brothers. So we connected in many ways, and now in that bond of fatherhood. So that's dope as well. Congratulations again. I mean, for people that don't know me, I guess the thing that is most prominent or top of mind is currently I serve as a national president for the National Urban League Young Professionals. It is a 21 to 40 age demographic that supports the National Urban League, which is the second oldest civil rights organization in our country, right after the NAACP. And we support them and their more than 90 affiliates across the country through volunteerism, advocacy, fundraising, and developing our members not only to lead within the Urban League, but within the broader community. And, you know, beyond that, I also serve here locally in Houston, where I'm based, for the Houston Housing Finance Corporation. We work to provide gap financing for affordable housing projects here in the community, but also making sure that whatever those developers are building is quality product. You know, we don't want them to come in, just throw something together. We're making sure that not only is it affordable, but it is high quality, and they're building good projects, whether it's multifamily, individual homes, you know, education centers, whatever that may be. We just make sure that it's good for the community, that they have buy-in from the community. Also serve on the board for the local Crime Stoppers, which does a number of different things to help make sure that violent criminals are being kept off the streets, educating kids when it comes to bullying, how they're using technology, sex trafficking, a lot of those different topics. And I think beyond that, from a personal perspective, I started consulting, doing a lot of work with public engagement. And now, because of the shift in the climate, even including some things as relates to DEI. So, you know, getting paid to do community work has been a blessing for me over the past year plus after my journey through corporate America. And, you know, now that's pretty much any and everything I do is centered around the community, moving Black people forward and moving all of us forward to a better place.
Amazing, man. Freaking amazing. Like, being able to take your talents, especially like you said, being able to get that corporate experience, understand the landscape, see what it looks like from that standpoint, and then be able to take that thought process and that mentality to the service industry. Because a lot of people hear nonprofit, it was like, oh, well, they ain't making profit. No, a nonprofit operates just like a for-profit. The only difference is they got to spend all their money before the end of the year. It's like, so we need to be able to have those KPIs. We need to be able to have those metrics, those measurables, though, that foresight, that strategic plan, all of that stuff, and to be able to see people transition that into the service sector. I love it. I appreciate it because I've worked in the service sector myself, and having that profit, that I'm gonna put out a good product, I'm gonna make sure that I serve the people in the best way type of mentality, but also being able to make sure you stay inside of a budget and operate within the bounds of a business. That's dope, man. That's dope. How has that transition been?
It was a rough transition, to be honest, man, because I think back to summer, what was it, 2017. I was working for a huge corporation doing outside sales, because I did that in corporate America about 5 years, made a lot of money. But I was on a call one summer and we were talking about some of the products. And I was just honestly just thinking to myself, like, what am I doing? because it did not resonate with me. And anybody who knows me, I'm very aligned when it comes to purpose, and it didn't make sense. Like I said, I was making good money, definitely a blessing. I learned a lot from the experience, but at that stage, I was like, okay, it's time to shift into a different space. And so I actually took a leap of faith and ran for office, made a mutual separation with my company at the time. That was January 1st of 2018. Ran for office, Harris County Justice of the Peace, Precinct 7, Place 2, which is essentially a community court that focuses on addressing civil issues between neighbors, but also handles foreclosures, evictions, traffic violations, very basic things like that. And I was the youngest in the race by almost a decade, raised a little over $30,000 in 6 weeks, and I missed the runoff by about 2 points.
Wow.
In the primary. And so, I don't think anybody runs for office and expects to lose. And so when that happened, because I prayed for probably about a month before I was even comfortable running for office, I had to just take some time to kind of gather myself, figure out, okay, that didn't work out, but I know I don't want to go back, full-fledged in the corporate. So what am I doing? Had a sit down with one of my mentors, who's actually also our fraternity brother, and talk to him about the direction I was trying to go. Some opportunities came about, and about a year later, I started consulting in the space where I am now managing projects as it relates to the census, which is now over. And now get out the vote, voter mobilization. So things I actually care about, getting paid to focus and put together strategies, plans, and implement to make sure that Black people are getting counted, they're getting registered, they're showing up to the polls, but educated on the process, so they know how to engage consistently beyond just voting, and able to make an impact for their families and for their communities, and just make it overall better. So it was not an easy transition by any stretch of the imagination. So anybody that tells you that is an easy thing to do, I don't think they're being forthright and honest, because it was definitely challenging. But I'm thankful that I made that move.
There you go, man. Shout out Harris County, bro. I didn't know all the brothers was out there in Harris County. Shout out to Chris Hollins out there doing his thing on the voting tip, getting everybody out there, making monumental strides in Texas that will never be brushed under the rug, man. That thing's gonna last forever out there with what y'all doing out there, man. It's amazing. That's dope. That was an awesome story, bro. Like so let's be honest, we haven't talked in a while. Definitely were down for the get down back in college and saw many things. But dude, you have lived a life since those days, man. You have been many people. You have transformed lives. You have given sparks to many a young person out there, young professionals and all. That's dope. That's crazy dope. So you transitioned into this life of social giving, of social love, of being passionate about what you do, and as everybody knows, that is glamorous in its own right, in some ways not so glamorous in other rights, because a lot of people don't see the gritty get down that goes on behind the scenes, especially when you're working on social impact projects, especially when you're working on improving the lives of people that in some ways are forgotten. Everybody doesn't see the grind that goes on behind that. How different is it from being in the corporate race to being in the social service circle?
I think the first thing to acknowledge is I'm involved in it in two different ways. My role as national president, a lot of people don't understand that is a volunteer role. So I do not get paid to be the national president for the young professionals. It is a labor of love, definitely something I'm passionate about. I joke and say I'm a CEO for free. And I think, to your point, people don't see a lot of the behind the scenes things. They see the flyers, the stuff on social media, and they're like, man, killing it. Yes, I received that. I appreciate it, but understand that, like you said, there's a lot of hours, a lot of work that goes into that. You know, on Saturday, this past weekend, I had to fly to Phoenix on behalf of our national CEO, President Mark Morial. I was on the ground, went out there to do a get out the vote rally with the Deltas. And of course, the Bros showed up in huge numbers. But shout out to the Deltas because they are, in my opinion, the best fraternity or sorority when it comes to how they show up in the community and their execution. I can always count on the Deltas. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, they're going to show up. Hopefully I don't get too much hate from the AKAs. I love y'all too. I work with y'all as well, but just understand that they are the ones that are always showing up. So on the ground doing the Get Out the Vote rally, we had a barbershop talk with a lot of the bros because one of the huge things is making sure that Black men are showing up to vote, making sure that their voice is heard in this process when you're talking about politically, and understand, you know, how can we move forward? You know, statistically, Black women vote in much larger numbers than we do. And so just trying to get to the root of, you know, what are some of those things? What are some of those challenges? And how do we make sure that we are showing up just as well and in strong numbers? And then, you know, we finished up the day after that conversation by actually going into the neighborhood, canvassing. One of our Morehouse brothers, I didn't know it at the time. I found out later he was one of our Morehouse brothers, but we were paired walking through the neighborhoods. He got chased by a dog. He didn't get hurt, thankfully. People don't understand, like, when you canvassing, like, some of these things are kind of dangerous.
That's crazy.
Because when you're going house to house, you don't know what you're going to run into.
That's true.
And so we simply just try to go out there and tell people to get out to vote. But after that, I flew right back to Houston. And then the next day, I was doing phone banking with some of our volunteers, calling people to get out to vote. And then last night, I'm up doing reports that I have to submit as a trustee for the National Urban League. So, you know, and I have calls tonight. I have calls every day this week. And so that's just what it is. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's a lot of work. And so then the other side of that is, from a consulting perspective, I get paid to strategically work on some of these initiatives here at home. The national stuff, that's volunteer, but the local things, some of those things I actually am getting paid to structure, map out, use my network to bring in relationships. And even now, the step I'm taking, and you know, because of George Floyd, all these corporations, they now want to get engaged at another level. So they're looking to people that have been in the community, have been involved, understand, have a pulse on it, and how do they shape initiatives and programs to actually make a significant impact.
Right.
And so for me, somebody who's been volunteering and doing this type of work for literally over a decade, it's like, okay, if that's what y'all want to do, I've been doing this. I can sit down with you, look at your corporation. I have that background. I have that understanding, and we can shape something that can be substantive and not just, you know, a check the box type of initiative, because that's not what I'm interested in. What is something that's meaningful that we can put together? So hopefully I explained kind of the lay of the land fairly well.
True.
But it's definitely not what you see on social media. Like it's so much more that goes into that.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, and you're putting that more into it, and that's kind of the deal. Like you and from what you explained, it sounds like you found that lane that allows you to be able to utilize those skills that you gained in corporate, that knowledge, that experience, those things that you saw, as well as help translate some of that stuff over into the nonprofit sector and make sure that it's impacting, make sure it's reaching the communities that they say they're going to reach, that those funds are going to the places that they're earmarked for, and actually giving a return on that investment. Because though it may be a social initiative, it may be given to a nonprofit, the ROI is still the main thing. What am I getting for what I'm putting in? And like you said, with all of these corporations looking to be a part of the community and engage in a different way, then making sure that they get that return on investment is what makes sure that this sentiment carries on past the feeling of today. You know what I'm saying? Like if they invest now, they get that proper guidance that you're providing and that consulting, and to make sure that they're investing their dollars in the right way, the strategic plan to make sure that it's executed in the right way. And then they get that report back saying your $1 million helped these 500,000 families do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Allowed them to be able to make it through the pandemic, allowed them to be able to get the education to move on to another position, allowed them to get that return on that investment that you made, that tangible return, something that you can see, something that you can put in your annual report, something you could tell your shareholders. So when they look at this line item and say, well, you gave this $500 million to charity, what did we get for it? You're a part of that pipeline that's making sure that those people continue to feel as though these dollars are making an impact and making a change and going to improve the future. And that translates to actually improving the future for some people. You know what I'm saying? And,
Right.
and if we all pull together to do that and to make that the focus and to make sure that they get that return, dude, it's no telling what we could do. It's no
100%.
Bruh. That's dope. That's dope. So for all the people out there that didn't know that was a job, that is something that you could do. If you have a passion for being a part of the community and you have an understanding of the corporate landscape, you have a network of people that believe in you and that you will accomplish what you say you're going to do, then being able to connect those two seemingly different sides of corporate structure, corporate America, the capitalist society that we live in, so that we can also do some good with all of this consuming that we do in this country. And we know we consume. You can see some of the bellies around. That's why Metric Mate exists. Trying to get rid of some of those consumer bellies. Then that's a place where you could definitely be utilized and utilize both ends of the candle, dude. So that's dope. Thank you for dropping a tidbit in my brain because that seems super awesome. So
and Strick, real quick, I was gonna say the thing about that is it's been, and it continues to be, somewhat trial and error. Like just reflecting back, and I'm even reminded of different things I've learned being in church. When you going through different things, you don't know what that's preparing you for and how it's going to be able to pay dividends down the road. And so now I'm looking back on different experiences I've had, different things I've learned, and it's like, okay, that's why I was doing that, or that's where this now comes into play. And a lot of the skill sets that I've developed, I didn't know what I was doing it for at that time. Like sales is probably one of the best skills you can develop in corporate America, because they drill different, ways of doing it. But the thing that I found that works the best and is translated no matter what space I'm in is relationships. And not being transactional in those interactions, but relational. Because that is more long lasting, and that is where you develop, that equity and that goodwill that is able to sustain you. Because, if you're out here just trying to get transactions, that's not going to last you. Like, you have to actually develop a rapport with people. And again, it's been a blessing for me because everything I've done to this point has been completely referral based off of, the things that I've done in the community. And now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I'm starting to formalize more of these things, building up capacity, about to actually start to put out bids and proposals. But I haven't had to do that to this point because of the work that I've done.
The Metric Mate team has been working tirelessly for years to be able to bring you a platform that allowed you to see your strength training data in a whole new way. And we're proud to say that we're finally at that place. The Metric Mate Smart Pen, the first device in the Metric Mate lineup, is available for pre-orders on our website at themetricmate.com. So take your time, go over there, check out all of the information on our smart apparatus, and get in line to be one of the first people in the world to have a Metric Mate Smart Pen help them more efficiently and effectively achieve their fitness goals, their life goals. We achieving all goals. We might even help you achieve professional goals. You could take us in to your boss and he'll be like, man, you must be very smart. We're going to give you a promotion. because you use Metric Mate. So go ahead and check us out at themetricmate.com. Again, that's themetricmate.com to pre-order your smart pen today. We also have amazing polo shirts. We got some crew neck shirts for you to be able to work out in. We got hoodies coming. We got face masks. So if you just want to support the Metric Mate movement as we continue to work, grind to offer the community a beautiful platform that nobody else is able to touch nowadays, check us out at themetricmate.com. Can't wait to see you there. 100%. I've been contemplating on that for a while now and like finding out how deep that actually goes. But those relationships, and not being afraid to work for free. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I can honestly attest to the fact that I gained a lot of skills and were given a lot of opportunities just for the simple fact that I was willing to like do it for free. I was willing to volunteer. You know what I'm saying? Because like we said earlier, these nonprofits operate like a for-profit. So they got all the same jobs, all the same opportunities, all the same people. You just working for free, you know, just to sustain.
That's a good point. You can volunteer and learn a lot of things. You know, at this stage, I've become a very good public speaker. But if you go back and look at some of the recordings of me when I started, I'd be up there sweating, shaking. It just was not a good look. Guaranteed. And now I get up there and people are like, man, you good. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't always like that. And I'm still getting better, but these are things that I've developed over time. And even from an executive standpoint, working with CEOs, having to do media, TV, all of these things, radio, etc. And I've gotten an opportunity, I like to say, you know, to fail towards success because I had, you know, mentors and people around me that saw something in me that I honestly didn't see in myself, and allowed that to, you know, be developed and cultivated to where now I'm like going to a whole level. And so it's like you said, it's a lot of grit and determination, a lot of tenacity that you have to put into it. There are some moments where you definitely have to just kind of sit down and sit in it, so to speak, to press forward. But if you persevere, man, there's no telling what you see on that other side. So
you said one of the best things, bro. You fail into success. You know what I'm saying? You fail into being better, because that's the part that a lot of folks don't necessarily want to go into, is the part where they weren't that good. You know, it's like, well, everybody has to go through that. Everybody has to feel that. You know what I'm saying? There are some naturals out there, but they're not natural at everything. You know, it's some things that you have to work. Even LeBron James had to work at shooting the three, and the dude's natural.
Absolutely. He's gotten way better, because, you know, shout out to one of the GOATs. I think there are multiple GOATs in basketball. You got LeBron, MJ, Kareem, but we're not here to debate that today. But like you said, he did not always shoot the three well. Like, he used to lightweight be trash, and now he shoot like 35, almost 40% from three. And so he had to work at it.
You got to work at it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that work that y'all see from him was for free. Of course, he got a contract once he got it done and made it happen. But that's the same stuff that we're talking about here, is that you go out there and you practice and you get better and you go through the bumps in the road to get better. You know what I'm saying? You fail to get better. And a lot of this stuff you have to actually get into the arena and do before you'll be able to get better. And if you take that opportunity, you spend a little time, you dedicate some time to building these relationships with these people in these communities, which gives you these opportunities to be able to get up there and fail forward, as they say, then eventually you look like you've been doing this forever. You know what I'm saying? But that's the part that people don't see, is that underground working, grinding, getting better, taking the L's before you get your W. But once you get that W, everybody's like, oh my God, you've been winning forever, haven't you? It's like, yeah, well, if that's what you want to say.
I was about to say, because that's definitely not what it is. But
no, for real. So speaking of taking L's, you know what I'm saying, getting in the workout, getting the fitness in, sometimes it's definitely an L, especially when you're leaving in with that burn, brother. And you've always been a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Ray would walk around campus, you know what I'm saying, swole up on him. So and it looks like you keep it in pretty good shape, brother. How important is maintaining your physical to being able to be and do all the things that you do being a leader?
It's very critical, man. And it's honestly, and it continues to be a journey, because if you go back, what is this? It's 2020, 2015. I was actually at my heaviest. If you, in some of the pictures, I think I was over 350 pounds. And it almost looks like I have on like one of those fat suits or something like that. It's crazy to look back at that. And so I started this thing because he's our frat brother as well. One of my boys I grew up with, he started talking about root to the blood.
Man, hold on. I can't do this because we've talked about so many individuals that are members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, just in these leadership talks that we're having. We haven't made the point to talk about these people. We haven't pushed to be like, we're going to include all of our brothers that we can. But in these leadership conversations that we're having and in these talks that we're having, this just happens to be a common theme. And that's not by mistake. It's not by design, but it's not by mistake either. So shout out to Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. All Absolutely. Of my love. Glad to see my brother Ray and my brother Chris Hollins and my brother Aubrey Hooper, who's out there doing great things in the community as well in Texas, and my brother Augustine Sanders, who's out in Dallas doing his thing as well. They just bought a house. All of these brothers in Texas doing amazing things, and all the rest of the brothers out there that I did not mention. As you know, we are all one. We are all the bros. So when I mention one, I mention everybody. Glad to see that y'all are doing amazing things out there, man. Like for real, and keep dropping that. There's like, yo, I love to just have friends in great places. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, absolutely. And I like you said, Lee Merritt, who's also our frat brother and our Morehouse brother, he's been doing a lot of work on the front lines when you're talking about being a civil rights attorney in these cases that come up where, either Black people are being killed, their rights being infringed upon. Justin Moore, he's not an Omega, but he is our Morehouse brother, civil rights attorney. So again, it's a lot of people, like you said, that are doing this work in these spaces. But, back to the physical piece, he kind of challenged me about working out every day. And I was like, because that's not, as an athlete, what we're taught. You're supposed to have rest days, etc. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try this. So I think it was maybe like December 16, 19, somewhere halfway through the month of 2019, I started working out every day. So I carried that into 2020. And I think around February, March, this was like right before or right around the time of the onset of the pandemic, I did the whole 30, where, you basically cutting out all sugar, no grains. You're basically eating protein and fruit and vegetables and drinking water for 30 days. And I did that, and I already done the Daniel fast. And so coming out of it, I was like, okay, these are, I guess, two extremes to a degree. How do I do something that's more sustainable going forward? And I've been able to figure something out that kind of combines the two while still, picking my days and my spots where I just eat whatever I want to, in moderation.
Right.
And being consistent with the workouts. But with the pandemic, I haven't been in the gym. And so what I started doing was a lot of high intensity stuff, working out here at home, a lot of push-ups, dips, stuff like that, body weight exercises. And crazy enough, I'm the lowest I've been probably since I was online in undergrad. First time, but we're not going to talk about that. And so I actually clocked in at like 237 about a month ago.
Wow.
And so I'd also started boxing. Got into that. I like that a lot. And so I think for me at this stage, it's all about staying active and being healthy. And, when it comes to being able to lead, like you need that energy. And so if you're not healthy, it hinders your ability to wake up and do what you need to do, leading your team, leading in your community. And especially with the onset of the pandemic, it puts you at a greater risk. And, thankfully, I've been able to avoid any major health conditions to the stage of my life, even though some of those things do run in my family. So it's just another motivating factor to make sure that I am being as healthy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a continual journey. Like, it's not like I have it all figured out at this stage. I'm still experimenting and trying things, trying to figure out what works for my body. But it's a critical part of my regimen and making sure that, again, I'm able to lead and be the best version of myself.
Speak that, man. That is, I mean, not 100%. They hit on all the major reasons why people try to maintain a healthy lifestyle, gaining that energy, staving off any ailments that might run in the family or might creep up on you, and just staying and fighting trim, as we say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Making sure you're ready for any of the obstacles that might come around during the day, and being able to live the lifestyle that you're living, brother, because you exhausted me with everything that you're doing, to be honest. And I run. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep it moving, but I'm like, man, this dude is out in Phoenix, you know what I'm saying, running around, doing things, coming back, doing stuff, still got to write reports and do planning. Hey, man, that is what's up. That is what is called of as a leader, and especially a leader during these times, when so many people are uncertain. And so many people need that guidance and that light and that positive energy. And bro, you provide it without a doubt. So we appreciate you, man.
Nah, and I think one of the things, and I don't know if you were about to go this way, that I didn't touch on was kind of the rest and like mental health component.
True.
So that's been a whole other aspect of the journey, because when I think back to when I was the local president, I was not good about doing these things from a health perspective physically, but also taking time for myself and resting. And so creating like healthy boundaries, like even with my team, making sure that they understand there are certain days where, like, listen, I'm not doing any work today outside of like extenuating circumstances. We can't save the world in a day. Like, I will get with you tomorrow. We'll get up to speed. We'll address it. And that has been and continues to be an important journey, especially in the pandemic. A lot of us have struggled with mental health, taking time to make sure that I'm working out or just walking outside, catching up with friends and family.
Yep.
Probably the most uplifting thing is talking to my daughter. Like, baby girl is hilarious. And so that is something that definitely like lifts my spirits all the time, is being able to hear from her, see her growth and how she kind of thinks through and processes things. And so that mental health piece, therapy, like that's something that I think is very, very critical. We don't talk about enough in our community, especially like as Black men and being leaders. That is something that is needed, because it's a lot of pressure. You get faced with these different decisions. You don't always know what the outcome is going to be, if it's going to be good or bad based on what you decide to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think as leaders, you take in information, you take in your various experiences, and you look to make the best decision possible, but you don't know. And so a lot of that can weigh on you. And so it's good to be able to talk through some of those things, to find ways to just kind of unplug, whether that's, watching a show, or, just kicking it with the bros. Like, it's good sometimes just to be amongst them to the best that we can in the pandemic. Because even when I was down there in Phoenix, everybody had on masks. We physically distanced to the best of our ability. And so it was just a real good experience. So I think that mental health is very, very critical and something that I've gotten a lot better about, and making sure that I try to get as much sleep as possible. Like, we've gotten in a bad habit about, don't sleep,
Yep.
don't eat, like you got to grind. And it's like, no, man, you will flame out and you will get sick. You will not be healthy. You have to rest. You have to find ways to restore and re-energize.
Bruh. Look, if y'all are not catching these jewels right now, you need to go ahead and get your bag, open it up, and catch some of these jewels, man, because that's critical. And that's the part that, like you said, a lot of people don't talk about. We don't get into the fact that we need to take a rest day. We need to be able to rejuvenate, and our bodies need to be able to rebuild. It needs to be able to do its thing. It's been built over millions of years to be able to rejuvenate and rebuild itself and do what it needs to do. And if we don't give it that opportunity mentally, physically, spiritually, in every way, then like you said, we're gonna flame out like easy money, and especially in this pandemic, because if you're not in good health, then you have an opportunity to contract this virus, and that could be it. That could be it. So making sure that you're taking care of your temple, making sure that you're feeding yourself the right things to be able to prosper and continue on past what's going on right now is really important. So appreciate you putting that in the mix for everybody. Making sure they got that little protein shake for the morning. I'm all about it. And eating well too. That's another thing that you talked about. Everybody wants to be able to feel and look better and do what they need to do, but calorie deficit is where it's at. You know, you have to work more than you eat, and that's where we're missing a lot of with all these huge portions out here in the U.S. and shoot almost everywhere else, because everywhere else is getting bigger too. But being mindful of what you're putting into your body, making sure that you know the fuel that you're feeding your engine, that's muy importante as well, dude. So
absolutely.
Man, Ray's out here dropping jewels, bro. If y'all don't want them, I'll keep them all. That's why I'm recording it. I'm gonna put it out so y'all can get it. Hopefully you'll get it. But hey, I got my bag open. We're out here securing everything. So love it, man. But Ray, appreciate you, brother. Is definitely been a great conversation, man. You've enlightened some people with the information that you've provided. Doing great things out there with the National Urban League Young Professionals. I know the chapter here in Atlanta is always active, so appreciate you for being the guiding light over the entire tribe, because they're doing amazing things around the country. Keep doing your thing out there in Texas, dude. Like, super proud. When I come out there, I'm gonna have to check out everything that's popping off, man, and see what y'all got going on. But as always, want to get you to drop one last jewel, one last major piece of information that you want to provide the community, and also give them information on where they might be able to check you out and reach out to you, social, online, website, whatever you got.
I think, and we've touched on a lot today. I think the last thing I'll just kind of like leave people with is, you know, be careful how you speak words and speak life to others, but also to yourself. You know, one of the things that for me, I've been exposed to even more is there's a lot of doubt, you know, the imposter syndrome amongst our peers and our abilities. And, you know, I'm big on faith. You know, if God puts you there in that room, in that space, best believe he equipped you to lead and thrive in that space. So believe in yourself, speak life to yourself, speak life into others, and you will definitely be blessed in abundance as a result of it. For those that want to get involved with the Urban League, shout out, like you said, to the Atlanta chapter, President Toom down there, and his vice president, Brittany Marshall. They were actually our national chapter of the year last year. So they definitely are one of the standards in the Urban League community. But you can reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, every social media platform, NULYP, NULYP.org. And you can connect with me on every social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Ray Shackelford, SHACKELFORD, and we can rap about community. If you need help with your business creating community initiatives, I can consult you on that. Whatever the need is, definitely want to make sure we connect and all together move us forward. So,
Bet. Again, y'all, Ray Shackelford, check him out. Amazing guy. I vouch for him all the way. Appreciate you as always for joining us today, man. Truly means a lot, because you could be doing a million other things, as you already are doing a million other things in the world, but you decided to spend your time with us. So that's right. Rude to the bros. Appreciate all the bros doing amazing things, including my brother right here. Man, this has been another Metric Mate Minute. Check us out, www.themetricmate.com. Check us out at Metric Mate on all your social media platforms. We're doing amazing things in the space of fitness, health, and the future of human prosperity in a healthy way. We're trying to make sure that we bring it to everybody across the globe, no matter where you are, to be able to achieve your goals as efficiently and effectively as possible. So this has been another Metric Mate Minute. Appreciate you again, Ray, for joining us. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace. Man, thanks everybody for joining us for another Metric Mate Minute. We appreciate everybody that comes through and shows us love in the Metric Mate community. Make sure that you stop over at themetricmate.com to find out more information about the podcast, about what we're doing, any of our blog information, the transcript of the show, and just to show us massive support. Also, remember to follow us on social media at Metric Mate. Check us out, y'all. Peace.